As always, we're going to divide all of the Josekis according to the first moves, and we're going to start with this one. A 3-3 point, or San-san as they call it in Japanese. San-san is probably the safest move you can ever play in the opening, and if you are trying to play a simple game, then this is maybe your best bet. When I think of San-san, I imagine a merchant who knows he can travel to faraway lands somewhere out there, he can purchase some exotic goods and he can bring them back home and sell them at very attractive prices. But he doesn't actually venture in going out into this tempestuous ocean of the center of the board, and instead he prefers to stay home and sell the goods he's familiar with. Yes, it's not going to be that profitable, but at least that's something he's familiar with. So playing San-san is a low-risk investment. You play San-san, and you're almost guaranteed to keep this territory in the corner. You play it a couple times, and there you go. You have some solid cash right there. But at the same time, the territory that you make here is probably not going to be very big. And it's also very easy for your opponent to approach and reduce this territory and make it very small. Now let's see how white can approach this corner. If white wants to approach from one of the sides, then I suggest you do this, a two-space approach. And why two spaces, you might ask? Because soon you will discover that when we approach the corner, we usually do that at a distance of one space only. And yet, with San-san, my suggestion is two spaces, because we think of San-san as not just a cornerstone, but it's so strong and close to the corner that we think of it as thickness. And there's a very important principle in Go that says that we need to stay away from thickness. But hey, let me just show you a quick example here. Take a look at this position right here. In the upper right, black has some territory, and white has a huge wall. It's just oozing strength and influence. Black has a single stone in this corner. Now it's black's turn, and black needs to choose an extension from this corner. If you had to play this extension right now, where would you play? How far would you go? And the correct answer is that we can't go too far. When you see this kind of wall, this sort of strength, you can't think that, oh, I'm going to demolish it and just play somewhere here. Once you play so far away, so close to the wall, white is never going to defend like this. Definitely white will invade here, separate your stones, and now this stone will get under attack. So the correct answer would be to play something very modest, something like this. It's a corner enclosure, and at the same time, it mildly reduces the power of the wall. In the same way, if it's white's turn right now, white also doesn't want to play close to the thickness. White doesn't want to play something like this or like this. This is something we could play if we only had one stone here, but not this entire wall. Once white has the wall, white wants to go all the way, maybe playing something like this, and hoping to use this influence to attack black when black invades. And now with this in mind, let's go back to our Joseki. As I was saying, typically we want to stay away from this fortress of a corner, so we play a two-space approach. And that's a very good question. Which side do we approach from? Well, on an empty board, it doesn't really matter, obviously. White can approach from either side. But let's imagine that white has a stone here, and black has a stone over here. Now, white needs to approach this corner. And probably it would be a more reasonable choice to approach from the side where you have a stone watching your back. So white has a stone here, so it makes more sense to approach from here and not from the other side. Otherwise, black has a stone there, and it might help black to attack this white stone. So I'm not saying that this is impossible, I'm just saying that this makes more sense, and it's probably easier for white to create some territory on the bottom right now. In response, black can choose to take the right side, for example, like this, and white takes the bottom. And this is our basic Joseki. Now let's see if we can change it around and try some other moves instead of the basic ones. For example, what if white wants to extend a little bit farther away than just a two-space extension? This is very basic and it's safe. Black cannot invade here, and you have to be aware that once you play anything to the left, for example, something like this, black can invade, and this could be a fight. If it's something you're looking for, then this could be okay. But if you still want to play a little bit farther away, it is possible. You can just play on the 4th line, and now it's 3 spaces, and it's still possible. And the reason for that is that this shape, which you can also see in many other game situations, it's more resilient to black's attack. And if black now invades like this, white can just defend, and everything's fine. There's a connection. If black jumps inside, white can cover it, and it's still fine. Actually, we can even try something else first. Remember that when your opponent is playing Sun-Sun, our mindset should be that this is a low stone, and we want to keep it that way. We want to keep it as low as possible. So right now, all of black stones are low on the 3rd line, and so we can lean on them to make them even lower, to keep them that way. So before playing any of this, instead of an extension here, white can make this crazy leaning move. And it's threatening to cut through, so probably black is going to connect like this. And now, this wonderful shape that connects all of white stones together, black probably wants to respond to this. Otherwise, white will play this and get the entire corner. So typically before AI, black would play like this, get the corner. And now these 2 stones are a great exchange for white. White gets them for free, and black still keeps the same amount of territory. Now we can play this move, and it's a lot safer. It's more difficult for black to make this invasion now. Now white can definitely cover, and nothing scary is going to happen. The computer, however, has its own considerations here. It feels that these 2 exchanges are too easy for white. So instead of this, here's what it recommends. Instead of passively descending here, black can hane. Now, white will connect, and this threatens to push through like this and cut the black stones. So black needs to defend, but not like this, not anymore. Now with this shape, black can play this, and it defends against the push and cut perfectly. And after this, white can tenuki or finish the variation by playing here. And this shape is better for black than the one before. But of course, you have to be aware that when you're playing this simple Joseki, this is a very fair result for both. Both players can be happy with this. At the same time, when you're trying to lean on black, you're actually asking for more. You're saying, well, how about instead of 50-50, I take 65 and I give you only 35. And black might not be happy with this. So when instead of playing this simple extension, you're doing this, you have to realize that you're actually pushing black toward the edge of a cliff. And black might be tempted to try and counterattack. And instead of this obvious connection, black could try and poke right here and try to start a fight. If, for example, now you push here, black will push here and offer an exchange. Or if you respond here, black will play here. So it could get complicated. So if it's not something you're looking for, then you can always play a simple extension, and it's a basic Joseki right here. If you're playing black in this Joseki, if you're the one playing Sun-Sun, and you're thinking, "Wow, I don't like it. It's so low. All of my position is low. I'm not going to play Sun-Sun at all." Well, you actually have options here. I'm just showing you the most balanced of all of the choices. It's safe, and there's no weakness at all. But at the same time, when this happens, when white approaches, you don't have to play so low. If you want, you can try an experiment. You can try playing here, or even go as safe as playing this. All of these moves are not bad, and they will lead to a similar result. At the same time, if you're playing white and you don't like your low position, then I could suggest playing higher. You can approach like this. It's still a two-space approach, but now it's on the 4th line. And if black plays the same move, something like this or like this, now you can do the same shape as before, but now it's from 4th line to 3rd line. Now, one last thing to talk about here is this. With Sun-Sun, this peaceful scenario is probably the most likely one. But what if black doesn't want to just take the right side, and instead of this, black chooses to counterattack and play something like this? A pincer. We'll talk about pincers later in other sections, but what if it happens here and we're not prepared? But again, the point of this approach is not trying to get territory right away. We're only trying to reduce black's potential of the corner. So in this case, don't be afraid. Just play like this, cover the corner, lean on it as much as possible. Black would have to live here, push. Now we just jump lightly, very lightly jump, make a flexible shape here. Black will probably push once again, building territory here. And now another very flexible move. We don't want to do this. It's possible, but of course in this case black could push and maybe start poking at all of these shapes. So typically we build a shape like this. This protects against this cut. Now if black cuts, there is no cut. Black cannot cut here because there is a very short ladder. Black cannot escape with the stone. A very light and flexible shape. The black's territory is reduced. Black will probably add another move. And this is exactly why I told you that we should approach from the side where your corner has some backup to it. For example, if you have a stone here in the corner and you approached, now this whole position makes a lot more sense. And now it's actually difficult for black to make this sort of aggressive pincer and attack you. Because now when you have this light shape, white can just counterattack. White is strong everywhere. White has many stones, and black only has one single stone that will have to escape. White has the initiative here. And if we go all the way back and we imagine that from the very beginning, this stone was actually black's, then this plan looks a little bit more dubious for white. Actually, it makes more sense for black. Because now it's not clear who is under attack here. Black has a stone here, black has a stone here, white has a group, white has a stone. So this could be a lot more difficult for white here. Now you see that this approach from the side where you have some stones to back you up actually makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? By the way, you can also watch these lessons on our platform, gomagic.org. Except there, you'll watch them with interactive quizzes right within the lessons and practical exercises right after them. And if you enjoy watching these Go videos and you don't want to miss others like this one, go smash that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and this is Go Magic.